Good morning. Welcome to Charlie's Corner. And today I'm going to do part 5, the last section, the last episode of the greatest sea story ever. Now, if you haven't guessed by now, what I've actually been giving you is my family genealogy, my family line. And so for the benefit of those in my family that are watching this, the time period that we're going to cover today is about 1164 AD until 1680 AD. All right. And so I'm going to give you the people involved. Somerled, he died in 1164. His son, Reginald, his second son of Somerled, had a son named Domhnall, and he was the founder of the Donald clan. Well, his son, Alistair More MacDonald, founded the MacDonald clan. The next in line was Domhnall MacAllister, and he had a son, John MacDonald. Now, John MacDonald was Lord of the Isles in 1380. John married a Margaret Stuart, who was the daughter of King Robert II. Their son, Alexander MacDonald, was the father of Angus, who founded the Clan MacAllister of Loup Castle. Loup Castle. That was in, where is that? It's in Argyll. Glen Abbott, I think. Argyll is where that castle is. Angus was given a grant of land at Minstry. And I'm going to show you these places. At Minstry, Stirlingshire, from the Earl of Argyll, and he settled there, and he took on the English name Alexander as a surname. So Lord William Alexander had a son named Anthony Alexander, and then Anthony Alexander's son was also named Anthony Alexander, and the son of William Alexander, Anthony, had 9 children, and that migrated over to America. And among those 9 was the Anthony Alexander, his son Anthony. And they landed in Virginia, and a lot of them went to Maryland. But Anthony actually came south down to what is now Tyrrell County, North Carolina. He landed at Fort Landing, North Carolina. He was granted 200 acres, and I'll show you these on a map. Originally, he was granted 200 acres, and he began the plantation, Soundside Plantation on the south shore of the Albemarle Sound. And so that's where we're at. The great journey across the Atlantic. Okay, so here we have Ireland, and this is Scotland right up here. And so let's zoom in. Now, Antrim in Northern Ireland is here, and that is where Fergus More went from there and put his seat of his kingdom up here on the Kintyre Peninsula. See, here's Scotland, here's Glasgow. This is the Kintyre Peninsula right here. And right about there was where the seat of his kingdom was, and eventually got down to Somerled, who was here, who was king of these isles and this western coast of Scotland. Well, it came down to John MacDonald. He was lord of these isles in 1380, and the Earl of Argyll, this is all Argyll here, and the Earl of Argyll granted him some land over here north of Glasgow. So let's zoom over here. This is in Minstry. Let's see if we can get it to come up on the map. I can't get it to come up on the map here, but here's Glasgow, Edinburgh, so you can get an idea where it's at. Just go north up here, and here's Stirling, and it's in Stirlingshire. It's right in this area here. All right, and that's where even today the Alexanders of Minstry are seated in this area right here. So several generations down the road, Lord William Alexander, who was the first Earl of Sterling, let's go out, migrates, or he doesn't, his grandson, Anthony Alexander, crosses the Atlantic Ocean, dun 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 dun, with 8 of his brothers and sisters. And let's zoom in on the east coast. Now we're on the east coast of America, and this is prior to 1680. It's right around the area 1680. Let's get it. There we go. All right. Now we're getting there. Actually, let's go out a little bit. And they land here in the Chesapeake Bay area of Virginia. All right. But Anthony Alexander, he ends up going south. Now, a lot of his kin, they went up north up to Maryland. That's where they migrated. He came down here. He would have come in at the Roanoke Island inlet. It doesn't even exist now. At that time, here's Roanoke Island, and there was an inlet right here that was open to the sea. And he would have come down, come in here, come around here, and this is the Alligator River right here. And you come down the Alligator River, and you get to, let's zoom in a little more. And you get to Fort Landing. And so he comes in here, goes in here, and he lands at Fort Landing. Now this is all presently, this is Tyrrell County, North Carolina, all of this. And from this highway, the Alexander family actually owned everything from the Scuppernong River to the Alligator River, and everything from about Highway 64 north. All this land used to belong to the Alexander family at one time or another. Now what he did was he landed here at Fort Landing, and then he went about 10 miles in, and right about in here is where he built his homestead, got his 200-acre, the original 200-acre lot. And I could actually take you to the exact spot where that house was. It's no longer, now it's a field, but where that house was that he built here. And Soundside Plantation was here, and eventually he spread out and spread out, spread out, and there's just Alexanders all over the place here. All right, and so Anthony Alexander, 10 generations later, his ancestor, who is me, was born right here on the Albemarle Sound. And so this is where the Alexanders originally landed at Fort Landing and set up their Soundside Plantation right here on the Albemarle Sound. And this is the Scuppernong River right here. And 10 generations later, here I am right here. Now, you learn quite a bit when you do your genealogy about who you are and why you are. Biological traits are passed down, and psychological traits are passed down. How you react to certain situations are connected genetically as well as environmental. And in Ireland, there are two major people in Ireland. You'll see the dark-haired people, and you'll see the red-haired people. And now the dark-haired people are those, you can remember how they came from Spain and came up, and that's where they got their dark hair from. All right, but where the red-haired people come from? Where'd the red hair in Ireland come from? You remember about 750 to 800 AD, this when the Vikings came from Norway, and they came down and inhabited all these islands on the west coast of Scotland. They interbred with the Irish, and if you remember right, remember I told you Somerled had married the daughter of Olaf the Red. They call him Olaf the Red because he would have had red hair. That's like Edward Teach, they call Blackbeard because he had Blackbeard. My beard has a lot of white in it now, but actually when I was younger, it was red. And so, and another interesting note about Somerled and his wife. Somerled didn't marry into the kingdom of Olaf the Red. He was a king of Norway that inhabited the North Islands on the west coast. And what he did was he went to war against Olaf the Red and conquered these islands. He kidnapped the daughter of Olaf the Red and ended up marrying her. I can understand that. I got a weakness for redheads myself, so she's probably a pretty little redhead, and he ended up marrying her. And then all of my descendants, I descended from that marriage. So yeah, it's really interesting. Talk about your trophy wife, huh? That's the very definition of trophy wife right there. So all right, let's take a look at the some of the family crests. All right, this is the coat of arms for the Alexanders of Menstrie. All right, and I can actually decipher some of this for you. White usually represents peace or serenity. Black represents constancy or grief. The crescent moon here, in English heraldry and Scottish heraldry, it represents the second son. If you remember right, we descended from Reginald, the second son of Somerled, and that's where this comes from. This right here represents, it's the chevron, And anytime there's a chevron on a coat of arms, it represents defense or military, and which means that the family was involved with military or defending the peasants, the people of their kingdom. So next, the specific coat of arms for Lord William Alexander, 1st Earl of Sterling. That's his coat of arms. And as you can see, it has the Alexanders of Minstry coat of arms in it. Here is Somerled's boat. They were very Christian. Protestants, I believe. I'm not exactly sure. I have to look that up. There's the Red Lion of Earmont from Northern Ireland. All right, and of course the flag of Scotland is there. But this right here is Lord William Alexander, his coat of arms. And he gave birth to Anthony Alexander, who gave birth to another Anthony Alexander, who migrated over to America and settled in Tyrrell County, North Carolina. This guy right here is Lord William Alexander, 1st Earl of Sterling. 15... When was he here? It was 1567 to 1640. He was a poet. He was a courtier of King James, the King James from the Bible. This guy right here actually is the one responsible for, if you read the King James version of the Bible, this guy is responsible for the book of Psalms in the King James Bible. He did that during the reign of King James. He also wrote a poem called An Echo, which I will show you. But before I go into that, let's show you the Alexander family motto adapted this from the Donalds, Primer per terris. So the motto of the Alexanders of Minstry is Primer per terris, which means by sea and by land. And Lord William Alexander, he lived from 1567 to 1640. You know, when you're doing genealogical research, you find a lot of facts about people: when they were born, when they got married, when they died. But you don't learn a whole lot usually about who that person was. One of the reasons that I write is so that generations after me will get to know, can know who I was, not just when I was born and when I died. Well, Lord William Alexander was a poet, and he wrote. And he left something that really struck home with me. It was the epiphany of, my God, I'm not so unique. Generation after generation after generation of mankind, they go through the same emotions. They experience the same things, generally speaking. The love and joy and sadness and pain. They all experience these emotions. And Lord William Alexander is no different. I've had my heart broken. I've actually been in love and had my heart broken. But I'm not so unique. I'm going to read you a poem. And ironically, the title of the poem is called An Echo. Now, it's written in Middle English. Lord William Alexander was alive during the same time as William Shakespeare. All right, so he speaks and writes like that. So it might be a little hard for you to understand. If you want to, you can Google it. It's a poem called An Echo by Lord William Alexander. Ah, will no soul give ear unto my moan? Who answers thus so kindly when I cry? What fostered thee that pities my despair? Thou babbling guest, what knowest thou of my fall? What did I when I first my fare disclosed? Where was my reason that it would not doubt? What canst thou tell me of my lady's will? Wherewith can she acquit my loyal part? What had she then with me to disguise? What have I done since she gainst love repined? What did I when I her to life preferred? What did mine eyes whilst she my heart restrained? What did she whilst my muse her praise proclaimed? And what and how this doth me most affright? What if I never sue to her again? And what when all my passions are repressed? But what thing will best serve to assuage desire? And what will serve to mitigate my rage? I see the sun begins for to descend. It's mind-boggling to think that 400 years ago, 13 generations before me, my ancestor went through the same exact thing that I've gone through in my life, felt the same emotions, had the same exact thoughts. I can't wrap my mind around that. So let's get on with it. Okay, this is the castle at Argyle, where Clan McAllister originated. That this is their seat of that clan, is Clan McAllister. John MacDonald was born and raised in this castle, and in Argyle. This is on the Kintyre Peninsula in Argyle, and he was granted land over in Menstrie, Scotland. Let's see the Alexander Castle of Menstrie. There it is. That's the Alexanders of Menstrie lived here. And let's see, I got another picture of it. There. This is the castle where the Alexanders of Menstrie lived, and in Scotland. This is where Lord William Alexander, 1st Earl of Sterling, would have been born, and where he was raised. So there you have it. A journey that begins on the Black Sea and goes through the Black Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, around to the Atlantic, and then up the Atlantic, the North Atlantic to Ireland, across the Straits to Scotland. From there, they sail all the way over to the east coast of America, where they settle in Tyrrell County, North Carolina. It's quite an epic tale, a tale of 4,909 years. So I hope you enjoyed the tale, and I hope that family passes this on. If I did this for myself, well, I would just keep it to myself. I'm doing these videos. I'm going to dedicate this to my children and their children. I'm going to dedicate this to my brother and my sister, and hope that they pass this on to their children so that it's not lost. Because when this journey began, we didn't know anything past our grandfather's name, and so now there it is. This is where you're from and what you did along the way. We begin a new story on the next episode of Charlie's Corner. I hope you will join me. It's going to be an exciting one. We're going to go into Charlie's Trek, An American Odyssey. So join me next time. I'll see you then, and you have a great day today.